everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making this summer fun sweater. This is so beautiful, and I'll get into all the supplies and then I'll talk about sizing and then we'll get into making this piece. So if you want to fast forward this intro, totally cool, but I'm going to talk about the supplies first. Big, huge thank you to We Crochet and Knit Picks for providing our yarn today. We are using Bravo yarn and Mighty Stitch yarn. You can get these yarns by following the links in the description of this video under supplies you will need, and I will link to where you can get these yarns. This yarn, first off, our main color is going to be this Brava in Clarity. That's the color Clarity. I actually used 1,090 yards. I would say about 1,080 yards. I had a little bit left over. Our second color is this sky color in Brava, and I used 200 yards of that. So just one of these little balls of yarn. And then for the Mighty Stitch yarn, I used the color Sunflower, and this yarn I used also 200 yards of that for the sleeves. The two accent colors are just for the sleeves, but the main color is for the body of the sweater and parts of the sleeves as well. So that's why you need so much of your main color. The hook size we are going to use is an I crochet hook. That is 5.5 millimeters, and this crochet hook right here that I'm showing you is from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. This is a hand-carved, ergonomic, wooden-handled crochet hook that fits in the palm of your hand. It also, if you crochet like holding a pen, it just works really well with your hand, and it's so lightweight. It is so wonderful to use. I love these hooks so much, and I use them in every single one of my tutorials. So check out the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy and get your fancy crochet hooks. They're linked in the description of this video. You can also use a scissors and a yarn needle. I have these linked in the description as well. And you're going to also need 2 stitch markers. If you want to live on the wild side, you don't need them, but for just marking a couple of stitches where you are going to put your ribbing, because there's ribbing in here with these front post stitches, and we're just going to mark where we want to put those in our project. So that is all the supplies you're going to need. Now for sizing, this sweater is going to fit me, myself. So I'll go over my body measurements, how this is going to fit my body, and you can work accordingly. But if you need to make this bigger or smaller, I would suggest you watch this whole video, because during certain parts of this pattern where sizing would come in, I do share tips and tricks on how to make this smaller or bigger. But for this shirt, the neck hole right here is 10 inches across, so it is 20 inches around, okay? And I don't have centimeters, but you can convert yourself. The shoulder section here, where we do seam up in this section, and this is 5 inches, this section. Then the arm length from right here down to the cuff is 24 inches long. Now you can obviously make more rows or make less rows to make your sleeve shorter or longer, but these are just the measurements of the one that I'm making today. And then the length of the shirt from top of the shoulder down to the bottom here is 23 inches. But also we are working across this way, so you can make your length way longer if you want your shirt to be a tunic style, or if you want it to be more of a crop top style, you can make however many rows you want. And for the bust measurement, that is going to be what you need for this body part. For the front and back panel, you need your bust measurement and cut it in half. So my bust across here, or around my body, across my bust, is 40 inches. Okay, so this panel across is 20 inches, and then the back panel across is 20 inches. So we make 2 panels, and then we sew them together using this really fancy zigzag look. I love how this just, you can't even really tell, but it just looks really cool, just zigzagged attached. And then also we sew up the top here, and we have our neck hole or head hole here. And then we attach the sleeves later, and that's the last thing we do. So that is all the sizing information. If you have any questions about this, please leave a comment. I'll try to help as best as I can. But for sizing, I do not have stitch counts for smaller or bigger sizes. This goes off measurements, so you will have to do that your own calculations. But I am a size, normally like a size large, extra large woman's size in US, so that is how big this will fit. And you'll see me in the pictures on my website, YARNutopia.com, wearing this, as well as the free crochet pattern that is also on my website, YARNutopia.com. So make sure to check out all those links in the description of this video, where you will be able to find me everywhere, also on all my social media. A big thank you to We Crochet for providing the yarn for this project today. A big thank you to my dad, who's over my shoulder filming this entire tutorial, getting right into the stitches where you can see them, and you can easily make this even if you are a beginner crocheter. And thanks to you for always watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get started and make the summer fun sweater. We're going to start out by making a slip knot, and we're going to start off by making the front panel. So let's put our short end over your long end and then fold this down over the long end. Whoops, there we go. And then pull your long end through and then pull tight, and there's your slip knot. So insert your hook in there and we can begin. We're going to start off by chaining 75 or any multiple of 5 that measures half of your bust measurement. Okay, so my bust is 40 inches around, so I'm going to make a chain, yarn over, pull through like this. That is 20 inches, and it comes to be 75 chains for me using this sized hook. So I am going to do that. You can do any multiple of 5, and I'm going to chain 75, and I'll be back in just a sec. Alright, so I chained 75, and I'm just going to lay my chain out here, and I'm going to measure real quick here to make sure it is the 20 inches, and it's a little bit more than 20 inches because we are going to be working in the 6th chain from the hook, so I have a little bit of extra there. So make sure when you are measuring yours out that you have to add maybe 5 more chains just to make it a little bit bigger, because this is going to shrink just a hair down to the 20 inches when I work in the 6th chain from the hook for row 1. So let's go on to row 1 right away. We are going to double crochet, actually we're going to make a shell into the 6th chain from the hook. So the loop on the hook doesn't count, so count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This chain right here, and what I personally like to do is turn my chain towards me and work into these back ridges of the chain like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This chain right here, we're going to yarn over, go into that 6th chain from the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, that's a double crochet, and that's what we're going to be working with this whole pattern. So in this same chain here, we're going to be making a shell stitch instead. So that's 1 double crochet. We have to put another double crochet in there. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through in that same chain there, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, for the shell, it's 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochet. So chain 1, and then put 2 more double crochets in there. And the reason we chain 1 is because the next row we are going to be working into that chain 1 space. Okay, so as you can see here, in that chain, there's 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochet. Now we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, go into this next one here, and we're going to double crochet into there. So just 1 double crochet in that chain. Okay, then we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, skip these 2, go into this next one and make a shell. So a shell in this chain here is 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2, then chain 1, and then 2 more in there. 1 and 2. Okay, I'll show you that. Okay, so we're just going to repeat then this all the way across this chain. So skip 2, 1, 2, double crochet into the next, then skip 2, and then shell in the next, then skip 2, double crochet in the next, then skip 2, and shell in the next. And row 1 is simple like that. It's just a little tedious because you're working in the foundation chain and it can get a little difficult to work in the base chain. But once you're past row 1's always the most difficult in all patterns just because you're working in chains. But the next row will be much easier working in chain 1 spaces and in these double crochets. So I'll show you that once I get to the end of this row. I'm just going to be repeating this sequence all the way across, and we'll end this row with a double crochet in the last chain, and then we'll go on to row 2. Alright, I just finished my row 1 here, and I double crocheted in the last chain. If you have 1 or 2 or 3 extra chains after this one, just leave them and you can sew them in later. You just want to end your piece with a double crochet. I'm going to pull this up real quick and show you my row, and I want you to see where we're going to mark our stitches now. So I'm going to grab some stitch markers, and we are going to mark stitches where we are going to put our front and back post stitches, our front and back post double crochet stitches. Okay, so I'm just going to grab 2 stitch markers here, and in my case I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 shells. Okay, you want an even amount of shells on each section. We're going to section this off in 3 pieces. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have 2 lines where we are going to have straight ribbing lines here. So I want to show you how I'm going to do that. You can see my whole piece here from this end to this end. And all I'm going to do is count my shells going from the outside working in. Okay, so for 12 shells, you can say 12 divided by 3 sections would be 4 shells. So 4 shells in each section. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then these double crochet stitches on the inside here are going to be the marked stitches. If you have more or less shells, depending on how many chains you did in your foundation, just make sure that there is an even amount where you are going to mark your double crochets. Now you could do it where on the outside here there's 3 and 3, and then you would have 6 shells in the middle. But these lines then, where you want them to be, you want them to be about 8 inches apart. So you also can use your measure tape, and I marked, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one here and this one here, obviously stretched, would be about 8 inches. Okay, and it's going to stretch when you wear it. So that's another indication of where I want my post stitches to be. So I'm just going to mark those because I want to make sure I remember which stitches it is that I need to make my front and back post double crochets. So right here and right here. And I'm just latching my stitch markers onto those stitches there. Okay, just like that. So you can mark your double crochet stitches where you need them to be on your shirt. And also, if you don't want ribbed types of stitches, you don't have to mark these, and you can just work regular double crochets in those stitches. But for the specific aesthetic of the design that I'm working on, I am going to do front and back post stitches on just these lines working up. Okay, so we can now go on to row 2. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to comment and ask. I will answer any questions here. So going on to row 2, we have to turn our work around, and we are going to chain up 3. Now this is considered a double crochet in our work. 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to work into this chain 1 of this shell, and in this chain 1 of this shell we are going to make a shell stitch, okay, which is 2 double crochets, so 1 and 2, whoopsie, then chain 1, and then another 2 double crochets in there, 1 and 2, just like that. Then we're going to hop to this double crochet here and put a double crochet into that double crochet, just a regular double crochet. So go into that stitch, make a double crochet stitch into the double crochet. Okay, so we're not working in these 2 double crochets here or these 2 double crochets here. We're just working in the chain 1 space and the single double crochet stitches. And that's it. So we're doing that until we get to the marked stitch. So go into this chain 1 space of this shell and make a shell, which is 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Fabulous. Then go to this double crochet here. It's not marked, so we're going to put a double crochet into there. Go into this chain 1 space of this shell and work your shell stitch. 1 and 2, chain 1, and work 2 more double crochets in there. Okay, regular double crochet into here, into this double crochet stitch, just work a regular double crochet. Okay, now shell into this chain 1 space right here, and then the next stitch is our marked stitch. So I'll show you how to do that. Now the even rows are going to be your right side, and the odd number rows are going to be your wrong side of your shirt panel. So you can see here we're on row 2, so we are going to do a front post double crochet on this marked stitch. So yarn over, go on this side of the post in this gap, around the post, and then back to the other side just like that. And then yarn over and pull it through. Okay, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That is a front post double crochet, and you will see there will be a large, like a raised line there. Now if you need to move your stitch marker up to that stitch, you can, but I'm just going to leave it there. I'll know now going forward that that is where I need to make my post stitches. Now going into this chain 1 space of this shell, just continue working the regular pattern, working a shell inside of there. So 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Okay, and we're going to do this until we get to this next one, this next marked stitch. So just double crochet into this single double crochet stitch. I shouldn't say single double crochet, that could get confusing. It's all alone double crochet stitch. Then going to this chain 1 space here, we are going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in there. And then hop to this lonely double crochet and put a regular double crochet in there. Hop to this chain 1 space and put your shell in there. And just alternate those all the way until you get to the next marked stitch. And I'm almost there, so I'm going to go a little bit faster and you can just continue watching me. Here's my last one before the marked stitch. And we are going to put a front post double crochet. So all the even numbered rows are going to have the front post double crochet on them, and the odd numbered rows are going to have a back post double crochet on these stitches right here. So you can see going from this side of the post around it just like that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we can just continue working the rest of this row exactly how we worked this section here. So shell in the chain 1 spaces and then double crochet in the lone double crochet stitches, and do that all the way to the end. I'll meet you up when we go on to row 3. So finishing row 2, you can see here this is our chain, our beginning like chain here. So we're going to double crochet in the very first chain after this double crochet stitch right here. So go yarn over, Okay, go into this front loop here, and then this back loop, or one of the back loops, if you can find it. This beginning chain was always so difficult. There it is. So the front and back loop there, and then yarn over with your hook and pull through there, and then finish off your double crochet stitch, just like that. Okay, now I do want to show you before going on to row 3, I'm going to pull this up here and lay this flat, and as you can see the front post stitches made a little bit of a ribbing here, but also the measurement of this piece turned out to be about 20 inches. So I'm just gonna, a little bit stretched too, but I'm from the beginning to the end, and it's about 20 inches exactly. But my original foundation chain was about 22 inches when I chained 75, but you can see how it shrunk with the shells and everything, making this kind of wavy design. It shrinks this foundation row, so just make sure your piece is not too small when you get to this point. So now going on to the next row, row 3, we are going to chain up 3, which counts as our first double crochet. So let's turn our work around. And row 3 is working on the wrong side of our work, or the inside of our shirt. So we are going to chain 3 here, 1, 2, and 3. And just continue working how we would our regular pattern here until we get to the marked stitch there. So shell in the shell, 1, 2, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and then just double crochet in the regular double crochet stitch right there. Okay, then shell in the shell, chain 1, and 2 double crochet, just like that. Okay, then double crochet into the lone double crochet stitch. Okay, then go into this chain 1 space of this shell here and make a shell, just how we established the pattern from the beginning. And then regular double crochet in this double crochet. Okay, then shell in this shell until you get to the marked stitch. Okay, and now for row 3, we are not doing front post double crochets, we're doing back post double crochets on the marked stitch. So right here, it looks like a back post anyways. So what we're going to do is yarn over, go to the back of your work, okay, on this side of the post, around the post to the back, then yarn over, pull through, okay, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, just like that. And if I flip this to the other side, the front side, you can see it really raises that up nicely. Okay, and then we'll just continue as our established pattern, working in this chain 1 of this shell, making a shell in there until we get to the next marked stitch here. So we're just put a double crochet in the regular double crochets and put a shell in the chain 1 spaces, and when we get here I'll come right back. Alright, I got to this next marked stitch here. You can see it looks like a back post double crochet from this angle, so we will make a back post double crochet on this stitch. So we are going to yarn over, go from the back of your work to the front, then to the back again, around that post of that double crochet. Okay, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And there is a back post double crochet. I'm stretching it out so you can see, but it's going to be like this. Okay, so you can see that in the front of your work. It's raised, it looks nice. And then we're just going to finish off the rest of this row And I'll come back and show you how to finish here, and we'll go on to row 3 next. My bad, I said row 3 and I meant row 4. We're working on row 3 right now. So we're finishing row 3 here, and you can see this chain of 3 stitch, 1, 2, 3. In the top there, we are going to make a double crochet as our last stitch in there. So there we go. Make your double crochet. Okay, and that was row 3. So you can see our odd numbered rows are, you can't see the ribbing here or here where our marked stitches are, because this is the wrong side of your work. This will be the inside of your shirt. So now we're going to turn our work around, and their even side, or our even rows, are going to be the outside of our work. So you can see the ribbing. If you look on the side of our work, you can see it's raised right there. Okay, and that is what we want to achieve on the front here. So we have this one, and this will go up the center of your shirt. Okay, so now row 4 is a repeat of row 2. So we are just going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and work our shell. In our shell, chain 1 space and double crochet in the regular double crochets, and then where we marked our stitches here, we're going to do front post instead of back post, because we are on the even row, which is row 4. Even rows are front posts on the marked stitches. Okay, so we are going to repeat row 2 for row 4, and then we're going to repeat row 3 for row 5. And we're just going to repeat rows 2 and 3 for however long you want your shirt to be. That is the pattern. Repeat rows 2 and 3 until your shirt is as long as you want the length to be. I am going to do 40 rows total. Now you want to end your work on an even numbered row. So I am going to end on row 40. That will get me the length of the shirt that I want it to be, and you can see in the photographs how it lays on my body and how long it is on me. Here we are once again at the marked stitch, so we're going to do a front post double crochet where that is. Okay, like so, and then just continue working the established pattern. Super simple. I mean, once you get this pattern down pat, you got it, and it's kind of mindless. And once you get further and further, just make sure that you do, if it's a front post or back post stitch, where it needs to be on this piece. But also, you could just not have the front and back post stitches and just keep it flat throughout the whole thing, but it will not have the same aesthetic as the finished product that I am sharing. So you can do whatever you want. It's free for the creator. So I'm just going to repeat rows 2 and 3 until I finish row 40. Once I finish row 40, I'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. Alright, I just finished row 40 on this first panel here. I'm going to chain 1 here, and you can cut your yarn. If you want to cut it long, you can do that on your first panel, because we are going to use that for sewing in our piece here. So cut your yarn long, pull it through that chain 1. I'm going to sneeze. Pull that tight. And then we are going to try to avoid sneezing, and we have this panel done. So this is what it looks like. It's beautiful. You can see the 2 lines very clearly on your ribbing here. This is really nice. There we go. If I turn it to the side, you can see the ribbing here and here. Lovely. So now what I need you to do is make another piece exactly like this one, exact the same way. So if you need to rewind this, you can do that and make another one. So you have 2 panels. Now I had made one off camera, so I have 2 panels here, and you can see my other panel like this. Okay, so it has the ribbing here, same exact thing. This is going to look so lovely. I'm so excited. So what we're going to do is make sure that the ribbing is on the outside, and we're going to put both of the wrong sides together. Okay, so I'm going to take this first one here and I'm going to flip it so I'm looking at the inside of the shirt. Okay, I'm going to stretch this out nicely. And then we're going to take this panel, once you have both panels finished, and we are going to line them up so that our last row on both pieces are lined up together. Okay, just like this. And it actually is upside down. So I will show you what exactly we are going to do. So this is row 40, okay, on both sides, both pieces. And this ribbing is on this side, and this ribbing is on this side. Lovely. Okay, so we have our two panels, wrong sides facing each other, and it's kind of, I mean, I didn't block these, so I'm stretching them a little bit, but essentially you get the idea. This is what it looks like. Now, this was row 40. We are actually going to have the foundation row be where our neck, where our head is. So I'm going to flip it around so you can see our foundation row is here, and our shells look up like they're upside down. That is how we want the design to be, because the bottom of our shirt is going to be this little wavy ruffle, and it's not going to be straight across, and I like it like that. So what we're going to do now is sew across the shoulder and across the shoulder here, so we have a head hole, and then we're going to measure here to have an armhole, and then sew down this side, have an armhole here, and sew down this side. So I'll show you exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start at the top, okay, work our way from one side here, and I'm going to grab my yarn needle here, okay, and we are going to grab our yarn, whoops, not that, there we go, and this is just attached to the ball of yarn here. Okay, now you want to measure your head hole, how you want your head hole to be. I measured in the center here about 10 inches across, stretched, obviously this stretches, so I measured 10 inches across, okay, like this, and you can see it's on this side of this shell to the opposite side of this shell here. Now you want to make sure you line up your two pieces exactly aligned, okay? And you want to, you can even pin them if you want to. So I'm going to sew up until this shell here. So it's just about like 5 inches or so from this corner up until this shell before the ribbing on this side, and then I'll sew on this side from this corner to this shell here before the ribbing, and then we'll have a nice little head hole. Okay, so to do that I yarned my needle, and you can sew it from the outside or the inside. If you want to sew like inside out, that's cool too, but I just like to do the mattress stitch, so I'm gonna manipulate my work so I can see it here. There we go. Alright, so what to do for the mattress stitch? We are going to go in from the inside to the first chain there and pull a lot of yarn. Okay, then go to this opposite side from the inside out and pull all that yarn. Okay, then just line up your stitches and go in, whoopsie, I'm sorry, from the inside, where my finger is here, from the inside out, okay, where my finger is here, inside out, and just pull tight, and it will sew it together. So just continue doing that until you get to the part where you want to stop, where the head hole needs to be. If you wanted to mark your stitches, you could do that too, so you know exactly where to stop. But once I have enough sewn here with this mattress stitch, I'll come back and I'll show you how to fasten that off, and then we'll sew the other side, and then we have to sew up the sides. Alright, when you sew this up here, you can see from the outside of the shoulder to the neck hole, the head hole, is where I'm finishing. So I'm going to go around these stitches here, keep my finger in this loop, okay, and then I'm going to come back through this loop and pull tight, okay, and that creates a knot, and now it's secure. So I am going to weave in this end just underneath some of these stitches, and then I'll do it to the other side as well, because that side was attached to the ball of yarn. So let me just sew in this end here. Okay, and snip that. Then go to the other side. Here. This was on the outside by the sleeve hole, the armhole. Okay, and I'm just going to go around, keep my finger in the loop, come back through the loop, pull tight, and that creates a knot. And then we will slip this through and sew it in underneath all these stitches. Okay, and I actually will probably just leave this one because I might crochet around it on the sleeve when we make the sleeve. So this is the armhole. So what you want to do for the other side is the same exact thing. You can see I did this off camera for the armhole, the shoulder, for the neck hole. So you can see both sides are complete. I just did this off camera on this side, and you can see this side is done. So there's your head hole, and that will fit nicely. And this is about 10 inches across. Okay, so your whole head is stretchy. I mean, you'll fit your head through there pretty nicely. Okay, so now what we want to do, and I did this off camera, is sew up this side, but my attachment method is not sewing. It is chaining and crocheting up this side. So what we want to do, so if you look at your piece of work, this is the head hole here, and we are looking at the top of our shirt like this. Now your shells should be downward, facing down. Okay, just like that, and the ribbing should be on the outside on both sides here. And you can see I marked my stitches. So what we want to do, you want to measure, I'm going to show my back here to the camera. You want to measure up here, from here all the way to under your armpit, okay? So you want to measure that from the top seam of your shirt all the way in the front to here where your armpit is. And for me that was 11 inches, but I went 12 inches because I want a little bit of space and make the sleeve a little bit more spacious and bubbly, I guess. Bubbly? I don't know, like a bubble sleeve. So I marked this right here. You want to mark the same row on both front and back panels, and I marked 17 rows down. Okay, so from the top here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way down to row 17, and I marked them with a stitch marker and pinned them together. Okay, so now they are even. And we are going to sew up this seam right here. Now you can sew it like how you did this top portion here, and that's totally cool. Just doing like a mattress stitch or even a whip stitch is cool. But I want to add a little bit of room. So what I ended up doing for this part is making a chain zigzag. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you now. So for both of these sides, you will do the same method. And what we're going to do is start at the bottom. Okay, grab your crochet hook and grab your yarn. We're going to make a slip knot like I showed you in the beginning of this tutorial. And we are going to hook it onto our hook a little loosely like this. And we are going to go into both sides. Actually, we should start at the armpit where we pinned our piece. That's where I started here. I started at the armpit and worked my way down, I remember. So I'm going to do that for both sides. So let's start on where you had your armpit here, and this is where it's going to lay on your armpit, and then you're going to go down. So we're going to take both layers here that are pinned together, we're going to go in both layers in that chain space there. And we are going to take our working yarn and wrap it around, yarn over, pull through, and through the loop on your hook just like that. So now we are secure on there. Okay? Now what we are going to do is work in each panel. So this panel, then this panel, then this panel, then this panel. And working in these chain spaces all the way down. So the first step, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You can work, I guess, like vertically like this. Okay, so I'm going to work up, and I'm going to go to this left side first. And you want your yarn and your work, we're going to work from the inside out. So go with your yarn, you want it to be on the right side of your hook, so on this side, and you want to go into this left side here, in from the outside, or I'm sorry, from the inside going outward like this. Then we're going to yarn over and pull it through and through to slip stitch that. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and without skipping any chain spaces, we are going to work now on the opposite one. So going over to this side, make sure then this yarn, working yarn, is on the opposite side, and you're going from inside out, then yarn over, or pull your yarn, whichever way you feel comfortable, pull it through and through. Okay, then I dropped my scissors, sorry. There we go. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Go back to the first panel here. Go into this very next chain space, which is the next row down. Going from the inside out, yarn over, pull through and through. Then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Go to the opposite panel on the other side there. This is the next chain 3 space. Okay, going in from the inside out, yarning over and pulling it through. Okay, and we're just zigzagging all the way down. Okay, so chain 3, whoopsie. Going to the next one on this panel here, inside out. Okay, and you just keep watching me for a little bit here so you can get your bearings. At first it's a little confusing, and I was playing around with different attachment methods, but this one seemed to be the best one for this shirt. Okay, 1, 2, 3, going down the row, down the side, and you just want to put 1 slip stitch in each chain space on the side, just like that. Chain 3, go to this one. So I worked in this one here, so now I'm going to go to this one here, from the inside out. Whoops. I lost my loops. Don't lose your loops. 1, 2, 3, go to the next on this panel, and that's really it. So it'll take a few minutes here, but this is what it looks like. So this is attached here, and then it just kind of V's out and looks good. Now if you want to get wider toward the bottom of your shirt, just chain more in between here. So in like a few sections here, chain 3, then in another section here, chain 4, then another section here, chain 5, and then down below you can chain 6 in between here to make your piece wider if you want that look of the shirt, if you need it to be bigger when you go down to the hip section. So that is one way you can make this bigger if you need to, but I don't need to make it bigger. It's just going to be the straight through chain 3 here, and then slip stitch to the next chain spot on the next panel, just like that. then chain 3, and I'm just going to do that all the way down. But a good tip to make it bigger, you can do that. If you need it smaller, you don't have to chain, you can just sew up the sides. Totally creator's choice on that part. So if you need it just smaller or tighter, or want the aesthetic of the look to be tighter, you can just sew up the sides and not have to worry about making this little zigzag section. But this is looking really nice here. So I'm just going to continue doing that all the way to the bottom, and then I'll meet you up when we're about to fasten that part off. Alright, I just slip stitched to my last chain 3 space there, so I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, and pull it through, and pull tight, and I'll sew that end in, but I want to show you by stretching this out here, this is the zigzag part here. You can't even really tell, A, because it's the same color, but B, it's going to be under the arm. So now all you have to do is just do that to the other side arm hole here. Just make sure everything is as equal on this side as it is on this side. So however many stitches you had to go down on this piece right here, just mark the same amount of stitches. So you have equal armholes and equal sides coming down. And there's what it looks like. It's fabulous. I love it so much. So now I'm going to grab some more yarn, and we shall start making the sleeves next. Alright, for the sleeve, we want to work in this armhole here. And what we're going to do, depending on how long you made yours till you got to the armpit area, depending on how big your armhole is, will be dependent on how many stitches you have around for your sleeve. So we are going to work in these chain spaces on the sides of our body right here. Okay, we're going to work in each one of these. And what we're going to do is start at the armpit. We're looking at the outside of our piece here, and we are going to be working starting at the armpit, okay? And we're just going to work on this side and this side, okay? Don't worry about this little zigzaggy chain section here. We're just going to grab our yarn. I'm going to start with this main color that I have, and I'm actually going to make a slip knot just to have a secure piece here. And I'm going to insert my hook. I'll just start on this side of the armpit right here in this chain space. And I'm going to pull this through, okay, and we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And that does not count as a stitch in this whole sleeve, okay? It's just to get us to the height that we need. And in this chain space here, we are going to make 3 treble crochets. So yarn over twice, then go in, then yarn over, pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 more loops, and then yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. That's a very tall stitch, and that's exactly what we want. That is a treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over twice, go back into that same chain space, and work another treble crochet. Okay, that's our second one. Remember, this chain of 3 doesn't count as anything, so we need to do 1 more in there. And that's 3. Okay, now I'm going to hop to the other side. You can see my attachment method is right here for those 2 front and back panels. So I'm going to hop to this side here and put 3 in this part right here. And I'm going to just try to make it evenly, making 70 stitches around. Now, depending if you made your armhole smaller or bigger, you could do however many stitches around. It does not matter as long as your arm fits through it. Okay, so, and you want it to be a little looser. So you can see I did 3 treble crochets in that one. Now for the rest of these, all the way around till I get to the very top, up here, I'm just going to put 2 treble crochets in each one of these. But like I said, if you made your armhole bigger or smaller, just depending on how big your armhole is, just make accordingly however many treble crochets. I suggest putting 2 or 3 treble crochets in each chain space. Just putting one will kind of make it have like a hole, like an awkward hole kind of look, and like there'll be like a big gap like this if you just put one stitch in each thing. So you want it to spread out nicely, your stitches, so they look like they're naturally there. Kind of spread them out so they look good. So I'm going to do 70 stitches total all the way around, and in the top parts, I'll show you here. So in each of these on the side, like I said, I'm just going to put 2 treble crochets in each of these chain spaces, and then once I get to this top portion where I sewed this, I'll put 3 treble crochets in this one, and then hop over the seam here and put 3 treble crochets in this one, and then just put 2 treble crochets in the rest of these until I get back to the beginning. And once I get back to the beginning here, I'll come back and I'll show you what to do next, because we are going to change color. When you make your last stitch here, we're going to slip stitch to the first treble crochet. So ignore this chain up 3 stitch and go into the top of the treble crochet here, and then slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Now for my method, I'm going to fasten off and change color. So I chain 1 and then cut my yarn and then pull it all the way through and pull tight. Okay, you could just change color by when you slip stitch. You could add your new color and just carry it up, but I am just going to sew in my ends as I go. So to do the next row, I am going to working in the inside of the sleeve. So I turned my work around, so I'm now looking at the inside, and I'm grabbing my new color. I'm just going to go into any stitch really. I guess I could go where we started right here. This is underneath the armpit anyway, so it's going to be hidden. I'm hooking on my new color, and from now on I am just going to chain up 3, treble crochet, so yarn over twice in the same stitch that I just chained up 3 in, because that chain up 3 does not count as a stitch. And then I'm just going to treble crochet into each of the 70 stitches that I have around. And that is all we're going to do. And then at the end of this row, at the end of this round, I'm just going to slip stitch to the first treble crochet and turn my work around and continue on to the next row. Now I am going to be changing colors quite a bit, so we're just going to do that same method that I just showed you, how I changed colors here. Just fasten off and change colors. For a few of these rows, I am going to change colors. So I'm just going to do 20 rows total. Make sure to turn your work every row, and make sure to chain up 3 and just treble crochet into every stitch. You should have the same amount of stitches in every row. I have 70. Also, when you're finished with each row, slip stitch and go turn your work and go on to the next row. I will have in the written pattern what color I'm using for each row, because I change color very frequently in this, but it's the same stitch, it's the same design, just treble crochet in each stitch. And I actually did my other sleeve off camera, and I'll show you what it looks like, and we can go through the colors real quick. Let me just pause here and slide this over, and you can see my other sleeve is exactly the same. So you'll do the same thing for the other side, but you can see here we have the white, off-white, it's called Clarity, then we have this yellow, and then blue, then again the same sequence, then again the same sequence. But then when you get closer to the wrist, you have 2 rows, then 1 row, then 2 rows, 2 rows, then 2 rows, and then we do the cuff, and I'll show you how to do the cuff. But just do 20 rows of this treble crochet just like this. Working, make sure to turn your work, I keep saying that, but keep turning your work every row, and we'll continue to just do the treble crochet rows. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment. I will answer your questions about this. And also check out the written pattern for color changes and more information on what to do for this section, but it's very easy now. Now you know how to do a treble crochet, and we're just doing that for 20 rows, just changing color, and you'll see the color changes in the written pattern. So just do that, and then I'll be back when I finish row 20 and we'll go on to making the cuff next. Alright, I just finished row 20 here. You're going to end on looking at the inside of the sleeve, okay? I'm going to change color for my cuff, so I'm going to chain one here and cut my yarn, and I'll show you what everything should look like here. I just chained one, cut my yarn, and pulled it through, and I'm pulling tight. And I suggest you sew in your ends as you go, but here's what this sleeve looks like so far, okay? And as you can see, underneath the armpit area is where I had made my seam, which you can't really tell, and it's going to be under the arm, so it's like here, like all the way up to the top. So 70 stitches around for each row. Each row is listed in the written pattern which row is what color, so you can follow the same suit, or you can do yours solid color or a different striping technique, whatever you like. So there is the sleeve part. We want to make the cuff now, and I have this cuff done already, and we want it tight around, this looks really small, but it really stretches a lot to fit around my whole hand and everything, so, and my wrist. So we want the cuff to be really small and tight around the wrist, and I'll show you how to do that now. I'm going to use this off-white kind of color called Clarity, and let me grab that here and we can get started on the cuff. So on the cuff, we are not turning our work to look at the inside of the sleeve. We are going to continually work on the outside of the sleeve, so you don't have to turn your work around. And we're going to attach our yarn to any stitch. I'm just going to go right under here where I fastened off. Okay, and I'm going to hook on my cuff color and pull that through. And we're just going to chain one. And for this round, this will be round 21 of the sleeve. And for this round, we are going to single crochet 2 together all around. So what we're going to do is go into this first stitch that we just attached to, yarn over and pull through, then go directly into the next stitch right here. Okay, I'm going to work over the top of this straggler here so I can sew that in. Yarn over and pull that through. So now we have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, that is a single crochet 2 together stitch. So we're going to do that all the way around. So going into the next stitch, okay, yarn over, pull through, then go directly into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Just like that. Okay, I'll get all this out of the way so you can see my stitches here. Next stitch, go into the next stitch there, yarn over, pull through, go directly into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And we're doing that all the way around. Super simple, but this will cut our stitches in half, so instead of 70, you'll have, what's half of 70? 34? 35? Okay. I was like, what's half of 70? So we'll have half of the stitches around, and if you need to have more stitches than that, you don't have to. You can just single crochet like this in a stitch if you need to, and then single crochet 2 together. But I want the tight cuff, so I am going to continue to single crochet 2 together all the way around to make the cuff as tight as I want it to be. I'll come back when I finish this round, and we'll go on to round 22. Alright, I've come back around. As you can see, it really cinches everything in and kind of makes it ruffly like that. So now we are going to slip stitch to the very first single crochet 2 together stitch right here. Okay, so ignore this chain 1. Just go into the single crochet, yarn over, pull through and through. And like I said, we're not turning our work around, we're going to chain one. And now for the rest of this cuff, we are going to work in the back loop only. So usually we work in both loops here, both loops, both loops, both loops, like this. The back loop is the loop that's furthest away from you here, okay? So this stitch, or this loop here, we're going to insert our hook here and go in around this loop only, okay? That way this front loop is going to be exposed, and that's going to create a nice little rib look. So I'll show you that. We are going to, for round 22, do the same thing we did for round 21 here. We're going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. So go in the back loop of the stitch that we just slip stitched to. We're just going, and we chain 1 here, so we're going to go into that back loop, yarn over, pull through, go directly into the next stitch back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, next stitch, back loop only, yarn over, pull through, next stitch, back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, and do that all the way around, and at the end of this round there will be 1 single crochet left, and we'll just do a regular single crochet in there, and it should get you to 18 stitches, but I want to double check at the end of my round to make sure I have that many stitches. So I'll meet you back up when I get to the end of this round, and then after this round we're done decreasing. Also, if you feel like it is getting a little too tight at some point, you can just switch to regular single crochets for the rest of the round. Like if you just want it to be like this big here, then just continue to single crochet around. Make sure that it is, if you fit your hand in, it fits through the hole, and you want to make sure it's not too tight or uncomfortable or suffocating or anything like that. So just make sure to do your single crochet 2 together stitches or regular single crochets how you feel it will best fit you. So I'm going to do what I need to do, and then I'm going to be doing single crochet 2 together all the way around. I have pretty small wrists, so I'll do that, and then I'll meet you up for the next round. Okay, so like I said, there was 1 single crochet left on this round, and let me count them for you here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, yep, 18 stitches around. If you have more or less, don't worry about that. Just make sure that your hand fits through that comfortably, and it's around your wrist nice and comfortably. And we can continue now. So slip stitch to the first single crochet of that round. Go in. You can go under both loops there. Yarn over, pull through and through, and then chain 1. And now for the rest of the rounds, we're doing 8 rounds total. We are just going to single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch around, then slip stitch to the first single crochet, and then chain up 1 and just single crochet around, working in those back loops only. Super simple, just single crochets, just like that. And we are going to do that for 8 more rounds, so we have 10 rounds total. So this is of the cuff, I'm sorry. So we're on row 23 here of the cuff, so we want to get to round 30 of the whole sleeve. Once I get there, actually I think I might do a little bit more. I have to double check my counts on this one, but I think I did 12 rows total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah, 12 rows, sorry, I said 10. But I'm doing 12 rounds total. This is what it will look like. If you work in the back loop only, you can see here what it looks like. It does look kind of small, but it does stretch significantly to fit around my wrist. And then I'm just going to do 1 accent round over here with the yellow later. But I just want to show you, this is what it will look like. Just do, or you can do as many rows as you want. I'm going to do 12 of this color, and then I'll just add 1 row of the yellow. So just do however many you want the cuff to be, and then I'll come back and show you that last part there. Alright, I just finished 12 full rounds of this cuff here. So now I'm going to slip stitch to this, and I'm going to change color one last time here and just do a single crochet round of the sunshine yellow. So I'm going to grab that here, oops, and I'm going to work in both loops for this last round. I'm just going to hook that on and chain one, and then just single crochet around. And that is going to be finished then. I just have a few ends to sew in, but that's really it. This is coming along so nicely. All you'll have to do is just do the same exact thing that we did for this sleeve to the other sleeve. I already had that one finished off camera, so I could show you this one on camera. But they are exactly the same, so you'll just have to do the same exact thing you did with this sleeve with that sleeve. Just make sure your stitches are the same amount and your rows are the same amount, depending on if you changed color as much as I did. And once you're back around here, just slip stitch to the beginning and fasten off. Chain one, cut your yarn, pull it through, and pull tight. And then I'll grab my yarn needle and sew in those ends. But there it is, the summer fun sweater is complete. It's so light and airy and very loose and lacy. I absolutely love this so much. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this sweater. If you learned something today, if you made this, please like this video, thumbs up, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube if you learned something today, and you can get the notification by hitting the bell so you can let you know when we post our next video. But there it is, the summer fun sweater. I love it so much. Check out all the photos on the blog, YARNutopia.com. Thank you to We Crochet and Knit Picks for the yarn, providing it today for this project. Thank you to my dad celebrating back there, zooming in and out that we're finished. Thanks to him for filming, editing this tutorial, and taking the fabulous photos. And thanks to you for watching. Until next time, happy hooking!